Right now, the biggest AI companies in the world are spending more money than they will ever make. OpenAI burns through roughly $5 billion per year. Google's AI division loses money. Meta is spending tens of billions on data centers that won't generate revenue for years, maybe decades. To understand why this is happening, you need to understand how the technology actually works and what these companies are betting on. Think of it like this. Early railroads spent fortunes building track across empty land. They lost money for years. The technology itself, the steel rails and locomotives, didn't generate profit until the entire network existed and commerce could flow through it. AI companies are in a similar position, but the infrastructure they are building is computational rather than physical. Large language models require enormous amounts of computing power. Training GPT-4 class models involves running calculations across thousands of graphics processing units, often GPUs like the NVIDIA H100, for weeks or months. Each training run costs millions. The model weights alone need to be stored and served to users, which requires data centers that cost hundreds of millions to build. These are fixed costs that companies incur whether they have 10 users or 10 million. The bet is that once the infrastructure exists, the marginal cost of serving additional users drops to nearly zero. Adding one more person to use ChatGPT costs almost nothing compared to building the data center itself. Companies believe demand will eventually be so massive that the per-user revenue will cover the upfront investment. But that demand has to materialize. If it doesn't, the entire economic model collapses. This is why AI companies are pushing so hard on scaling. They need to prove that demand justifies the spending. They are also racing to develop proprietary advantages in hardware, like custom chips, so they don't have to buy GPUs at inflated prices. Meta is designing its own chips. OpenAI is working on custom silicon. These efforts cost billions, but might save billions if they work. The other part of the equation is that nobody really knows what the ceiling for AI revenue looks like. Companies are guessing. They think AI will eventually touch every software product and justify massive spending, but that's not guaranteed. They are operating with incomplete information, betting heavily, and hoping the technology becomes essential enough that the economics work out. If you want to understand how neural networks actually learn, we covered that in another video.